Shall we go with Rory first up, please? Can you hear us, Rory?
I've got you, yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Could you go first, please?
Sure, yeah, of course. Eoin, another nail biter there. I suppose you've lost a home series for the first time in 5 years. What have you learned from that experience?
I think a number of things. I think probably the positive of the series is that we can win games of cricket when we don't play our best game. We've also learned quite a lot about the group playing on slower wickets. Having an opportunity to play on them 3 games in a row, I think, is a rare one for us. And playing against Australia, you're never home and dry. You're never out of the game. I think we've watched the guys continue to show belief and fight back like they have done today. It hasn't gone our way, and Australia have outplayed us. But certainly, I think we've addressed an area of our game that's probably our weakest, that we'll now have time to take out and work on.
When you're at the start of a cycle like this, obviously with the World Cup behind you now and then another one coming up in the future, do you learn more from being involved in 3 tight finishes than you do from maybe steamrolling somebody in helpful conditions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes when you do that, you take things for granted or performances for granted. But given the contest between ourselves and Australia, both in the T20s and the ODIs have been so tight, I think we've learned a huge amount.
Thanks.
Cheers, thank you. James Cole, please.
Hi, Eoin. Just overall, what will be your reflection on the summer? How will you remember this, and what will you take from this summer going forward?
I think it's been extremely positive on all fronts. I think from where we were probably 5 months ago to today, playing our full international set of fixtures is a huge positive for the game, to have it back on TV. But not only that, we've played, I think, across all formats, some fantastic cricket, probably particularly the Test team. Certainly I've really enjoyed watching it, probably more so the close games, and the games that we sort of got over the line when it was more challenging. The one that stands out for me is the game at Old Trafford, where Joss and Chris took us over the line and sort of chased down a total that was obviously extremely difficult surface to play on. And then the white ball sort of broken down into 2 segments, one against Pakistan and Ireland, where we were looking at the strength and depth of our squad, and from that, guys that took their opportunity were guys like Sam Billings, Tom Banton, David Milan, then came in on the back of that after the Ireland series due to injury. So huge positives in building strength and depth, and then when the opportunity to play our strongest team or squad against a very good Australian team came about, we managed to do that. I think one of the worries going into, just piling your best side together in such a short period of time was that we might not function as well as we have in the past, given the roles might change a little bit. And I know we've not played our best, but I think the character and resilience that we've showed has been brilliant.
Do you think the bio-bubble model might provide a blueprint for boards around the world going forward now as we look towards the winter?
I think it has. I think certainly we've pioneered or mapped out exactly how to get cricket back on. And I think given that we've had no positive cases within the bubble at the moment, I think it's a very good example, and I think one that every team around the world will look at, and whether they can model it exactly like that might be a bit more challenging. But certainly I think the ECB have done an outstanding job.
And I know you said you're happy to go to the IPL because you think it'll be possibly even easier than the bubble you've experienced here. So on that note, would you be happy going away in the winter to other countries and enduring the bubble abroad?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for us is spending an extended period of time away from your family. I think that challenge is already greater at the moment because we accept that we're going to be away for long periods of time in the winter. That's just the nature of being an international cricketer. But when you're doing it at home with none of your family around, it poses a more difficult, challenging situation. I think the IPL, having family over there, will help a massive amount. Also, not staying at the venue will help as well. So I think moving into the winter, we might need to look at that, travelling to other countries.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James. We will go with John Etheridge and then Dean Wilson, please.
Eoin, hi. I just wondered what you were thinking when you came out to face the third ball of the match.
Not a lot, actually. You don't have a lot of time to think when when you bat in the middle order. You waste a lot of time waiting to bat. Now, I'd love to be able to be skilled enough to open the batting, but I'm not. So you do spend a lot of time wasted waiting around to bat. I wouldn't say it's something I enjoy because I'm not very good at it. But it was a matter of trying to get on with it.
Okay, thanks. Cheers.
Okay, Dean, please.
Yeah, hi, Eoin. I just wondered what you thought about England's fielding performances over the course of this series, but the T20s and the ODIs. A few chances missed, ground fielding probably not that great compared to your normal standards. Is that an area that you're going to have to get a bit more active on?
Yeah, I think we will. It's always an area that we're struggling to improve on. Very rarely do you ever have a perfect fielding display. And it's actually, with no crowd or atmosphere in the game, it's actually one of the more challenging things to do. I think when you're batting, you don't really notice that there's no crowd. And when you're bowling, maybe you notice it in between balls. But when you're fielding, you notice it all the time. So it's something that we're looking into, trying to raise the intensity ourselves, but trying to do that for long periods of time is challenging. So we'll have to find something.
How does that? Sorry, can you just explain how the lack of a crowd kind of manifests itself? Is it the mind? It wanders because because there isn't a crowd, and so can you just explain how that makes fielding harder?
Yeah, I think it's more difficult to engage with a game, particularly when you're fielding more so on the boundary and nothing else is happening in the game, and you're trying to create something out of nothing.
Okay, cheers, Dean. Thank you. Last question, Vish, please.
Yeah, I suppose you're well as captain.
Vish, we can't hear you, mate.
Is there something wrong with the microphone?
I think it's your microphone, maybe. Try again.
He's coming on mine.
Hi, Eoin. Sorry about that. I suppose part of your role as captaincy is to look out for body language on the field, and obviously in the bio bubble that's a different matter entirely because it feels a bit more of a 24/7 job because you're all living together and around each other. How did you find that personally, and kind of what have you made of how the players have dealt with, the emotional tolls of being in this situation?
Yeah, I think the guys have dealt with it really well. And I can only say that because when guys have struggled, they've come forward, or when guys have needed things, they've come forward. And when that's not being managed that well, guys normally hide away and let things bubble over until it's too late. So I'd like to think that we're managing it well, but it's something that we will have to stay on top of, given that it is challenging.
Grant, cheers.
Okay,
Thanks, cheers.
thanks everyone. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you
I'll
very
bring
much.
spoons in shortly. Thank you.